So the Tfue versus Faze Clan contract controversy. I haven't seen a lot of in-depth analysis on the psychology business side, and so I want to talk about that because there's a lot of interesting things going on, especially as both parties generally agree on the key facts. Why won't Faze Clan just release Tfue from the contract? Well, to me, there seems to be two reasons. One being the inherent reason that I think everybody appreciates, which is, well, they are a talent, agency. They found Tfue, and they claim that, when they brought him in, he was a nobody, and then he skyrocketed to fame. Maybe deservedly, but they therefore should get credit for that and be paid at the end of the day. And despite them never, taking more than 20% of his earnings in any capacity, they have the potential to, at any time, start taking 80%. And to Faze Clan, I think they see it ultimately as a value add. Tfue is a value add to the company Faze Clan, and that they see it as a profitable investment at the end of the day. And to just release him from the contract would be a loss of an asset, just looking at it as business terms. Now, does him as a business asset outweigh the perhaps negative PR that is haunting Faze Clan and may haunt them way into the future? Perhaps, but I think there's a second part of this, which is two, if they release him from the contract, on some level they're admitting that the contract is a terrible contract. And now they've said in emails, personal correspondence between Tfue, Faze Banks, etc. have said like, yes, it was a bad contract, everybody agrees it's a bad contract. But if they release him from the contract, they theoretically, or hypothetically at least, may be forced to release other people from their contracts as well. We don't know what other kind of contracts exist within the Faze Clan, and if they allow Tfue to just walk from his contract, who's to say that others won't rise up and also want to walk from the contract? At which point you could either have multiple en masse people leaving, people trying to renegotiate left and right, which is just a headache for Faze Clan. That's not saying, despite the contract may be predatory and illegal, we're just talking about the kind of psychology behind why Faze Clan is wanting to pursue the contract with Tfue and keep him in it. The reason they stated in their video is very political. I don't really buy it. You can listen to it in their video, but I think those are the main reasons, is that they worry about systemic risk, which is kind of a financial term, but I try to be interdisciplinarian in these videos. And so systemic risk is when they allow one thing to happen, therefore they worry that others, it'll have a domino effect, for lack of better words. And so if they allow Tfue to walk, there's a systemic risk that others in the Faze Clan may walk or want to renegotiate as well. Now, Faze Clan have also stated that they've tried to renegotiate with Tfue multiple times, and so there may be a bit of an emotional stake, which says like, hey, we have in good faith tried to come to you and renegotiate because we recognize how big of an asset you are, and therefore you should be valued appropriately. We're willing to give you $1 million a year. So when he decided to sue Faze Clan, there may be a slight knee-jerk reaction. What about Tfue then? Why is Tfue, suing to get out of the contract? Was he not happy with $1 million a year? Is he being greedy? No, I don't think so. I think what happened is that he, along with Faze Clan, recognized his value add as an asset to the company. But ultimately, if you're stuck in an initially poor contract, you come from a very weak negotiating stance. And that even if Faze Clan is saying, like, we're willing to give you $1 million a year, Tfue really has no negotiating leverage behind him. For Tfue, it's really just Faze Clan saying, well, it's this or that. It's this or that. We can either give you this, or it can revert back to your normal contract. We can give you this, or you can revert back to your normal contract. You take the deal. At which point, there's really not that much negotiation going on. It's just whatever Faze Clan feels like giving to Tfue. And because he's not able to negotiate, very effectively, the best way to negotiate or to make more money is to get out of the contract at the end of the day. And so the best way to get out of the contract that they won't release him is to sue. It's a natural, logical progression in any sort of business disagreement. Now, I think a few things, though, are interesting about the Tfue side. One, I think we can all objectively say that Tfue does not surround himself with the best people. One, the fact that he even got into this initial contract to begin with, where were there good people around him saying like, yikes, this is a bad contract, don't sign this, or negotiate the contract first. But two, even to this day, the way he's approaching the lawsuit, with naming like, oh, I was encouraged, I had to live in this house with the celebrities that I didn't want to do, and I was encouraged to like drink underage and take risky behaviors that I didn't want to do, is empirically false. And the fact that once again that was in the lawsuit was just a political gambit to a PR strike, to make Faze Clan look bad and to maybe get him to release him from the contract. But those are provably empirically untrue. And so, his response in the video was like, oh, I told my lawyers to take it out, no worries. Well, those lawyers are there to serve you at the end of the day. So unless you explicitly told them to put them in, why were they there? Were your lawyers just in your ear saying like, oh, we can also try to get them on this and this and this and this? If so, you're still surrounding yourself by, I would argue at least, not very thoughtful people, or at least people that don't have your best interest at heart. The lawyers are only going to, value you as long as they can make money off you, Tfue. And so there's something to be said for perhaps the individuals you had in Faze Clan did actually have your best interest at heart. I think Faze Banks and a few of the other ones are sincere in their friendship with you, and that a lot of business is ultimately based upon relationships. In the long term, there's a term in business called the lifetime value of a customer, and so a lot of times businesses will calculate like, well, we may lose money on this initial exchange, but the lifetime value of the customer in our end will pay off. And so ultimately, the lifetime value of having these personal relationships intact may be better than whatever contract or terrible contract you were signed into initially. That being said, another big argument about why this contract is so bad and why Tfue wants to get out of it is because of the clause that says, if this contract is terminated or, you breach this contract, if Tfue breaches the contract, he's prohibited from playing games and tournaments or live streaming, effectively taking him out of the game, taking out his earning potential for 6 months. And in esports, that's a long time. And now, the reason why this clause in this contract is speculation, but on some level, it's functioning as a non-compete clause, although it's functioning more as a punitive non-compete clause, more like, hey, if you breach us, we'll hurt you back, rather than, I think, a better approach than non-compete, which turns out to be Faze's biggest fear, is that they will have a competitive esports clan or group that will compete on Faze head-to-head in the marketplace. And so, ideally, the contract should have said, if you breach this contract, fine, you're welcome to go play games on Twitch and compete in tournaments as an individual all you want. What you cannot do is form a separate group underneath Faze Clan that directly competes against Faze Clan itself. And that seems like a more honest non-compete in my mind, and a more fair worry about Faze Clan than the kind of, punitive, you just can't go play on Twitch. Because Faze Clan, as a business, is investing time, resources, publicity into building up the people that they sign on the contracts. And so you don't want individuals that you built them up to be celebrity figures, then point away and forming their own group with their celebrity power that Faze Clan gave to them to then directly compete against Faze Clan both in tournaments, both in brand deals, and in polling talent. And I somewhat agree with Faze Clan's desire to avoid that situation, which is, I guess, as Tfue explicitly says he wants to do, which is to form his own equivalent group. But the way that essentially non-compete, was worded makes Faze Clan just look bad. It was a poorly worded, in my mind, or poorly thought out non-compete clause. So once again, you have both people agreeing that the contract, both parties, Faze Clan and Tfue, agreeing that the contract is bad, but both saying like, Faze Clan saying like, well, you signed the contract, and we have in good faith tried to renegotiate you on a personal relationship level. On top of that, we can't just allow you to release you from the contract because of systemic risk. If we do this, then it sets a precedent for maybe other people to rise up against us. However you may feel about that, that's probably the motivators that are going into Faze Clan. On the opposite side, you have Tfue, who says, I'm in a really bad contract, and while I'm stuck in this contract, I really have no leverage to renegotiate. It's really just whatever Faze Clan feels like feeding me, at the end of the day. I can't really say like, no, give me more, Can't, because Faze Clan's just going to be like, well, we'll just revert back to your normal contract. And Tfue, arguably, may say like, well, wait a minute, I want to form my own group. And I can't do that because of this weird punitive non-compete. Once again, you can argue, should non-competes even exist in esports? I don't know. These are things that haven't really been determined in the new industry of esports. But they're interesting, complex, psychological business things to think about that I haven't really seen discussed on YouTube. Let me know your guys' thoughts. You can like, subscribe. Back to more standard classical news tomorrow. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.